Thank you. I am so excited to be here. And I just have to give a shout out to the musicians and the singers. I love that. The whole theme, the best is yet to come. Speak the word over yourself. And Reverend Temple, I am a lighthouse, and I am so delighted to be here today. Before we get started, I want you all to ask yourselves just a few questions. I'd like you to answer these honestly. All right? The first question is, do I want to have greater relationships, more harmonious relationships with my family, with my friends, my coworkers, my community, and my world? Do I want to have perfect health with every cell and function of my body operating in the perfection of God's design? Do I want to have more money and the freedom to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it? You've honestly answered yes to any of those questions, then I am definitely in the right place. You know, when I graduated from high school many years ago, I was a kid growing up on the beach in Hawaii, and I graduated from high school, and my mom, who was a devout Catholic, who had converted from Seventh-day Adventist, gave me my first book, this little tiny book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. This book was published in 1920 and written by a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. Some of you probably know this book. Well, I took it with me at 18 years old off to college, and I thought I had a miracle-making formula. Oh my God. All I had to do was use my words, thoughts, and emotions to describe and believe that the outcomes that I wanted in life, the achieved goals that I wanted in life, would actually work, would actually happen. And they did. I was able to graduate from college in 3 years with honors while growing a business with my sister Sharon that had over 200 employees. I thought I had a miracle making formula. And as I matured spiritually over time, ended up picking up different spiritual practices and trying them on. And that's what I love about New Thought. Well, in the early 2000s, I ended up being a dutiful little sister and followed my older sister, Reverend Sharon Rainey, to her church, Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. And I was shocked. Oh my God, they were teaching at a church what I had been practicing and believing for a long time. I was so excited. And as I was going to Center for Spiritual Living and tithing there, the leadership ended up asking me what I was doing to be so successful. Well, quite honestly, I thought that was a trick question. And I gingerly replied, wanting desperately to have the right answer. I said, well, I'm doing what you're teaching here, right? And they laughed and said, of course that's right. But do you have any sort of a daily practice that you use in order to, keep you focused on your goals and to be successful? And they said, oh, you want to know about what I do every morning, like my CSO meetings. You see, I'm a self-proclaimed efficiency expert. And what that really means is I just hate to waste time. I love taking complicated ideas, lots of different things, bringing in all sorts of input and putting together really easy to understand, efficient ways of doing things. I've trained hundreds of salespeople that have worked for my companies, customer service people, even executives to grow their businesses and be more successful. So I described my daily practice, my routine, my partnership with God to the leadership, and they asked if I would teach some workshops on it. Well, after about the 500th person had gone through the workshops and saying that they had some pretty good success, I was asked to write a book. And I did. I wrote this book called The Path to Wealth. Now, this book went on to be a bestseller on Amazon. In personal finance, what? It's not a personal finance book. It's a spiritual book. It's about achieving goals in partnership with God. Well, I was delighted and finally realized that what God was trying to do is work through me, like God works through you, like God works through all of its creation to get new thought principles out into the world. And after that book came out, I wrote another one as an advanced study so people could achieve even greater goals. And that book is called The Gratitude Formula. So I explained all of what I was doing to the leadership, taught these workshops, ended up telling them all about what I was doing on a daily practice. And my talk title today, which is Partnering with the Chief Spiritual Officer for Success and Freedom, is a direct result of being able to use and teach these principles worldwide. You're probably wondering, what in the world is a chief spiritual officer? Well, for me, it's that characteristic of spirit that guides me and directs me through intuition and through other people to achieve the desires of my heart, to achieve my goals, to realize my intentions, and to keep me safe. You see, as a CEO of companies, I surround myself in my C-suite with people whose advice I value. I have a chief financial officer, a chief operating officer, a chief information officer, and the list goes on. You see, these are subject matter experts who know way more than I do about everything. Their areas of expertise are really, really key to a success in any business, and they give me advice that helps our businesses grow. Well, I decided that infinite intelligence, God, the all-knowing power of the universe, knew more than I did about everything. And I wanted that intelligence to be brought into my companies. So I gave it a title, and I call it the Chief Spiritual Officer. And I did something different. I actually put the CSO at the top of my organizational chart so that I, as the CEO, reported to it. I believe that this partnership helped our companies to be market share leaders for new sales in all of the industries that we participated in. It ended up helping us to be so successful, and me personally to be very, very successful in business and life. Now, the CSO not only helped me with my goals for business and my goals for finances and other things, it also saved my life. In 1994, I was in a business meeting, and I had this picture, this flash of my sister's face in my mind's eye. Ever have that happen? Yeah. Well, I knew practicing in partnership with my CSO, with that characteristic of spirit that guides me and directs me, that meant I needed to contact my sister. So I finished my business meeting, and I happened to be close to her office, so I just stopped by. She was so happy to see me. She had something going on with her computer and asked if I'd take a look. And as I was sitting there at her computer, I had nylons on and a skirt with a suit, and she saw through my nylons a little tiny, tiny little dot on the outside of my right leg. She asked me what it was. I told her it was a freckle. You see, I'm fair, and I was born and raised in Hawaii. I have lots of freckles, and that one I just seem to always have had. She said that she didn't feel that it was a freckle and asked if I would see her dermatologist and have it looked at. Well, my rational mind started thinking about my calendar. My calendar's packed. I have lots of traveling. I've got business meetings scheduled. And I was thinking about all these excuses in order to dismiss her fear about the dot on my leg. And I was just about to voice my opinion, and my gut hurt. You ever have that happen? Your gut hurts? Something's trying to get your attention? Well, again, I knew from practicing my partnership with God that meant I needed to do as my sister said. So I made the appointment. I went to the doctor, and the doctor looked at my leg and said, "May, it's nothing. You have nothing to worry about, sweetheart. You can just get dressed and go home. What we'll do is we'll watch it over time. Come back in on an annual basis. We'll watch it. So don't you worry about anything." And told me I could go home. And as I was about to heed the doctor's advice, my gut hurt again. I had a choice to make. Do I believe the doctor? And my dad's a doctor, and we were always taught to believe what doctors say. So I had a choice. Do I believe the doctor, or do I believe God? Well, I chose God. And I said, "Doctor, I'm so sorry. I do not mean to be disrespectful, but could you please cut that thing off and have it diagnosed? Well, I came back a week later to a diagnosis of cancer. I had malignant melanoma, Clark's level 3. Now, I know that my CSO partnership allowed me to receive God's intervention, a miracle to help me be healthy. I had to have simple surgery and I've been cancer-free ever since. We know lots of stories. Perhaps you yourself, perhaps someone you know that you're close to has had a seemingly miraculous healing where we can know for each other and declare with great confidence and faith that you are whole, you are healthy, you are complete. Every cell in your body is operating in the perfection of God's design. We know that. We've got that healthy proposition down, right? But why aren't we using that same God power in other areas of our life? Why aren't we using it for our finances? Why aren't we using it for our relationships? Many successful people do. Did you know that Bill Gates said often you have to rely on intuition? And Steve Jobs agreed with him when he said, you actually have to have courage to follow your heart and intuition. Kind of like the courage to go up against a doctor's advice when you were trained by your own dad to believe all doctors. And Oprah Winfrey, clearly one of the most influential women of our time, she said she has listened to that still, small voice of intuition her entire life. And the only times that she's made mistakes, when she didn't listen. So if Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Albert Einstein, Steven Spielberg, the list goes on. If hundreds of people use spiritual intuition, that divine guidance as a tool to be successful, why aren't we all doing it? Well, I think it's because we're not taught to. And thank God there are spiritual centers like this one that teach these principles. But in most areas of the world, when we have a question about anything, what do? You're right. We Google it, right? And we gather all sorts of information. And we talk to subject matter experts in our family and our friends. And we think about every possible step, every possible opportunity related to that question. But then we do something crazy and we think about every single possible outcome that could come from every single possible step, right? If we don't like any of them, then we do nothing. Come on, admit it. You're in church. We do nothing, right? Well, you're not allowed to do nothing anymore. You know, this is not a new human condition. Albert Einstein actually described it perfectly when he said, we all have this intuitive mind that's a sacred gift, and this rational mind that's a faithful servant. But somehow in our society, we have decided to honor this rational mind, this servant, and we've forgotten the gift. Well, I am here to help you to remember today that this gift is available for you to use anytime, anywhere, to achieve your goals and to keep you safe. Now, I'm going to share with you just 3 short points, all right? And if you'd like a copy of this summary of these 3 points, just go to maymccarthy.com, contact me through the contact page, and I'll be sure to get the summary sent to you. The first point, the very first point, is to understand that God, divine intelligence, the CSO, universal power, wants you to be successful, wants you to achieve all of your goals and to keep you safe. But it stands to reason that you actually have to have some goals, right? And they have to be worded in such a way that the CSO has a chance to be able to help you. Let me give you an example. Perhaps you have said, let me rephrase that. Perhaps you know someone who has said, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to get out of debt. If you've heard that goal, then what you need to understand is that the goal is I want to, I am wanting. Well, hasn't the person already achieved the goal? Aren't they already wanting? Why do you need Spirit's help with that? So you have to rephrase it. You have to use your words in a more powerful way and describe with gratitude what you want the outcome to be after you've lost those 10 pounds, after you're out of debt. For example, you may say, I'm so grateful that I am physically fit, trim, toned, energetic, in a pain-free, healthy body that easily moves through life. You see the difference? That's something that the CSO can provide you with information about and help you achieve. The second point is that you have to commit to a partnership with the divine, and you need to establish clear roles and responsibilities that you both will follow. You have your job, Spirit has Spirit's job, all right? Now, your job is to determine what it is that you want and describe it with gratitude as though you've already achieved it. Spirit's job, your CSO's job, is to create the path for you to get there and to give you one step at a time on that journey to achieve your goals. Kind of like seeing that flash, that picture of my sister's face in my mind's eye that led me to contact my sister. All right? Now, you can either take the action that you're led to take, or you can ask for another lead. You can ask for some sort of confirmation, another message that will confirm for you that you're supposed to take a step. Let me give you an example of how to do that. I want you all to look straight out, tilt your head slightly up, and say, CSO, I need another lead. That's it. That's all you have to do. I want so badly to make it more complicated, because if it's more complicated, I think you might actually do it. But it's really that simple. So you either take a step or you ask for another lead. What you're not allowed to do anymore is nothing. Got it? Let me give you an example of how this works. In one of my previous companies, when we were sort of in a startup stage, I would travel about 200,000 miles a year. And every morning I met with my CSO, and I had a goal for our company to receive a minimum or more of $400,000 in revenues, in new revenues, by a particular time. All right? So I find myself on my way to Cleveland, and I've been to Cleveland a bunch of times. I always stay in the same hotel. I fly there, I get off the plane, I go to, I go to the hotel, get my bags, get my rental car, go to the hotel, and I drop everything off. Then I get back in the car, and I go to the closest grocery store, which I knew in Cleveland was about 5 minutes away, and I get protein shakes and water and things that I need for my stay. So I'm in the car ready to go to the closest grocery store, and I get this strong thought of a grocery store that I know is 15 minutes away. Well, that makes no sense at all. And my rational mind wanted me to know that. It started saying things. I was starting to hear it talk. And it said, May, what are you thinking? Don't you dare go driving across town at 9 o'clock at night in Cleveland to a grocery store when there's a perfectly good grocery store right down the road. And let me remind you, young lady, that your appointment is at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's 5 o'clock in the morning, Seattle time. If you don't get a good night's sleep tonight, you're going to be way too tired for your meeting tomorrow. Just go to the closest grocery store. All right, how many of you can honestly identify with that? Right? If your rational mind doesn't understand a thought or an idea that comes into your head, it tries to talk you out of it. So this is when you figuratively stomp your foot, And you say, CSO, if that message is from you, I need another lead. What that does is it invites your intuitive mind, that sacred gift, to give you information if it has it. And mine did. It said, May, it's true. It's 9 o'clock here. However, it's only 6 o'clock in the evening in Seattle. There's no way you're going to be able to go to sleep right now. And who knows, maybe everything that you want will be on sale at that other grocery store. Just make the drive. So I did. I made the drive, parked the car, and as I'm walking into the grocery store, I see a man that I recognize. I met him 6 months before at a trade show. He wasn't returning any of my phone calls or emails for an appointment. He represented a very large potential customer for our business. And here we are, face to face. So we strike up this wonderful conversation, and he was very generous. And he said, look, while you're in town, come see us. Come see our group. We'll give you time. So I did. Well, that appointment, that meeting led to the next meeting and the next meeting, and eventually a contract worth more than $400,000 in the time frame that I wanted. My CSO gave me a lead, gave me directions to drive across town at 9 o'clock at night to a grocery store as one of the steps on the path to achieve my goals. Doesn't that sound a little bit strange? I mean, it doesn't sound rational at all. It kind of sounds like Red Sea's parting, food falling from heaven, water coming out of rocks, right? Well, that's the way we're supposed to live. And my third and final point is that you need to meet regularly with your CSO every day and review your goals together. You need to build a relationship of trust. How do you do that? Just like you do any other relationship. You have to spend time together, getting to know each other, getting to know how to communicate. If you've ever heard the phone ring and you knew who it was before you answered the phone, and that's without looking at caller ID, then you know what I'm talking about. You have a connection to that person that's deep. You know it's that person calling, right? You never know when it's the potential spam call until you look at caller ID. But that reminds you that we're all connected. And you can build that same kind of connection with spirit each and every day. Now, I have a meeting agenda that I go over. It's about 30-minute commitment in the morning and then fun all day long. All right. I don't have time today to give you all 7 of those steps, but if you just contact me through maymccarthy.com, I'll go ahead and send you a summary. Okay. See, God works in and through all of its creation. You're part of that. And so is everyone else. That creation is going to conspire to help you to achieve the life that you desire, as you partner with and trust that God's got your back. God's got this. God wants to help you, and it needs your commitment in order to be able to do so. May you be blessed. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you continue to be free and prosperous. And as my very favorite teacher, Emma Curtis Hopkins, once said, there is a good for you and you ought to have it. And I would add that you should have it now. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm grateful to be part of the 2020 influencers for First Unity Spiritual Campus. Thank you again.